And we are live. Gr-
Live.
Yes, greetings, classmates. Welcome back to Earth School Journey. I am your peer guide and co-host. Uni. Did I forget my damn name? I'm about to call myself Umi. Look, I am Umi, but I'm Uni. And this is my lovely co-host and fellow peer guide, Umi Steph. How are you today, Umi?
I am doing great on this Aries stellium culmination day.
Yes. Literally,
Yes.
damn near everything's in Aries right now
I
at
know.
like critical degrees and all of
Right.
that. So
Right.
I hope everyone is doing well. We hope that Earth School is going well for you. Remember, we're here, at Earth School Journey. Life is the curriculum and experiences the teacher. And every day we are showing up and we are, giving our all to experience life. And it has really been a very interesting time. I feel like it was a little touch and go for a little bit, but I feel like we're back in the groove and the swing of things. I feel like we're on the upside, like we're on the upswing. That's how I feel. How you feel?
hmm Yeah, I feel good. I feel like there's been a lot of movement, a lot of things. A lot of it's been internal. I mean, Aries is
Yes.
a self-centered, self-focused. I don't want to say self-centered necessarily. That can be one way it comes up, but it's a very self-focused energy. And yeah, I do feel like a lot has shifted within, you know.
Yeah.
Um it's just been a I don't really want to say tough. It has been tough, but it's not a very hard energy. It's a lot of power, a lot of intensity, a lot of, you know what I mean? It's a passionate sign. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
floating through it. We on the downside after this, right?
I know, right? Look, but the thing about Aries is it definitely teaches you to put yourself first,
Yeah.
and all my Aries people out there, they can get a bad rap for being kind of selfish and a little combative and all of that, but they really teach us to put ourselves first. You know what I mean? To fight for ourselves and to have boundaries and to make sure that we are, doing what's right for us at the end of the day. There's always that balance that is needed, though. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
The Libra energy, which is the other side, where we are working with others and making sure that we're leaving room for others to be themselves and have space for themselves as well. So I think that's really what this energy is about, is making sure that we're fighting for ourselves, but we also know that there's room for all of us. There's enough abundance in the world for all of us to have what we need. So I'm feeling really good right now, and I'm very grateful that we are, still talking about spiritual identity this month.
hmm
We've been going into the question of like, what is spiritual identity? How does it help us in the awareness of who we are and what we bring to the world and in Earth School, as a whole. And it's been a very, very interesting month. Like you said, I've been really leaning into this energy of making sure that I am learning more about myself. I've been learning about my lineage. I've just on a hunch, on a whim, I found some things about my ancestry, and it's just been so beautiful. The things that I found, the names of ancestors that I never knew about, that it makes me feel good to know, like, okay, this is my great 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 grandmother and great 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 grandfather, and I feel like I'm learning more about myself as I learn, who they are and where they came from and what the type of life they lived and what they were doing. And while I had some ideas, I didn't know for sure. And like now I know for
hmm
sure. You know what I mean? And so this idea of spiritual identity when it comes to, thinking of, where I'm coming from and where I came from and how I got to be here is really showing up in my life, and I'm just really grateful. I'm really grateful.
Yeah.
Has it been showing up for you in any way, Umi?
Um yeah, I think so for me this Aries energy is dead in my like 7th house. So it's really and which is the opposite house of where it naturally falls, right? So there's definitely been this pull for there to be more balance between what I'm doing for other people and what I'm doing for myself. And um being so focused on helping others to reach their goals and not really paying attention to my own. And
Mm,
so that's really been the biggest thing for me is that balance and taking responsibility for my own happiness and taking responsibility for my own um needs and desires and wants and all of that. So yeah, that's definitely where it's been for me.
I
Yeah.
love that. That is
Mhm.
that is so important, and it's so key, like I said earlier, for all of us to do that. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? Aries and Libra are in opposite houses because they're sister signs, you know what
Yep.
I mean? But it is, they're on that same polarity for a reason. Again, there's room for all of us to have what we need, but if we don't realize that we got to be the ones to give us what we need, you know what I mean? Like nobody else is. Like they use that analogy all the time. You have to put your own mask, your own oxygen mask on first if the plane is falling. And that goes for any time. That's not just in an emergency. You know what I mean? That's
Right.
the part that we forget. That's
Yeah.
every day.
Yep.
So I'm so happy to hear that, and I'm just grateful that it's showing up for us. You know what I mean? Like it's
Hmm.
it's showing up. And tonight we're going to be talking about esoteric. Speaking of astrology,
Right. Right.
we're going to be talking about the esoterics. And this is me and Umi. We met in an esoteric space in
Yep.
esoteric ways, and so we really connect on this. And I'm really excited to talk about this tonight. I'm really excited to talk about the esoterics because they were hidden for so long, you know what I mean, from so many people. There were like secret societies, and you had to do blood oaths, and you had to, like, there was sacrifices that had to be made to be inducted and indoctrined into these sorts of um uh sciences and systems and studies. And so we're going to be talking about how spiritual identity and esoterics go together, while the title of our show, of course, is tonight is you are more than your birth chart. But we're talking about that kind of loosely. Like we'll talk about many different esoteric systems tonight. And so we want to start off by asking one of our hook questions. Umi, you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. And I really love these questions that we can we kind of came up with. But so who are you beyond your birth chart? Your numbers, your the labels that you've been given, and what um if anything look, I can't even read first of all. What have you learned about yourself through spiritual tools? What if everything you've learned about yourself through spiritual tools is only part of the picture? I don't know what's going on me. So I'm gonna read that again because I don't even know what I said. Who are you on your birth chart, your numbers, and the labels you've been given? What if everything you've learned about yourself through spiritual tools is only part of the picture? Okay. So that's kind of what we're diving into tonight. I feel like we put so much into, oh, I'm a Cancer, I'm a this, I'm a that, but we're going to get into that now. So,
Yes, thank you. Thank you so so much. Thank you so so much for that, Umi. That those are some really powerful questions to think about. And yes, we're gonna dive into that deeper in a bit. But first, we want to just again just talk just a little bit about what esoteric is. I kind of gave a little brief introduction, but to go a little deeper, esoteric actually refers to knowledge, ideas, or teachings that are meant for a small, specific group of people. You know, usually those who have deeper interest, training, or there's usually like an initiation in esoteric studies. You know,
Hmm.
and what we have found is that over the last, I want to say 20 years or so, especially since the boom of the internet and, you know, which has happened over 30 years now, about approximately. It's really, we've really gotten in the information age. A lot of these esoteric studies which were hidden and which were very symbolic and layered in meaning, and a lot of it was not easily understood, and some of it still isn't easily understood. Like you said, people, you know, they talk about their sun sign a lot, but they don't know there's a whole chart behind it. There's so much, you
Yep.
know, in that comes with astrology, and a lot of people don't know that. um but again, these subjects, these scientists, these sciences, excuse me, were hidden for a very long time, and now they've been put out there. And you know, like I said last week, I'm gonna be honest with you, part of me feels like they've been put out there because the world has gone batshit crazy, and we need we need people who, you know, believe in something deeper. We need people with more integrity. We need people to know who they are, you know, on a deeper level. And maybe if
Hmm.
they know who they are, or they have some sort of an idea of who they are, that maybe they'll bring, you know, morals and values and integrity and love back. I could be wrong. You know, it
Hmm.
could just be that it's just people are just tired of holding back. You know, like, listen, the
Right.
world needs to know. You know, I don't know, you know, the, you know, what's really behind it, but it's been cut. Now it's more exoteric. It's more open. It's more public. Everybody can access it. I mean, you can Google your whole birth chart pretty much at any time for free.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you can get all different interpretations of it. There's so many different perspectives and views when it comes to esoterics, just like there's different religions and sects of religions and things of that nature. The esoterics is very similar, you know? And I think that the reason why it was hidden for so long, it was because of fear. You know,
Hmm.
there was power in knowing these esoteric studies. There's power in knowing these sciences and these systems. And a lot of people were persecuted and hurt because of the power that they were able to exhibit, by using them in the public. And my own personal belief is that a lot of people who are in these, in government and in public facing power, they use them behind the scenes still to this day. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They always say, you know, you're a billionaire has an astrologist on on the payroll, you know.
Right.
And there's some other sayings like that, but you know, me and Omi, sometimes we forget. I swear. There's another saying, I can't. I'm thinking it's up there, but it's not gonna come out. I'll remember it 10 o'clock tonight when I'm laying in
Right.
bed, but that's okay.
Right.
um, but yeah, you know, the thing about esoterics, you know, it's about numbers behind the scenes. You know what I mean? It's
Hmm.
about patterns. It's about understanding science and math and algebra, all these things, you know. And we're going to talk about that tonight, and I'm really really excited. And I think that when you think of esoteric, I want you to just think that it just means that it's more than meets the eye. It's deeper than what's on the surface. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? And even if you learn all the esoterics, you learn every system that's out there. You find out your birth chart. We'll talk about human design, you know, astrology. We'll talk about some cardiology. We'll talk about some numerology tonight. even if you know all of those things, let me tell you something. There's still more
Right.
than me say. And that's really the point that we're getting at here tonight. You are
Mhm.
more than just your birth chart. You are more than what meets than what you see there. And so, um, let's talk about how to work with esoteric studies. Umi, you want to give us a little overview of how to work with them since we kind of talked about what they are?
Yeah. So I think the important thing to understand when you're working with any of these practices, and we're talking specifically about what I think a lot of people call divination practices, so like astrology, numerology, tarot, cardology, human design. There's gene keys, there's I Ching, there's like all of these different things out there. Um, I the most important thing to understand is that for one, it's not a rule, right? The things that are in there are suggestions of energies and patterns, and they're suggestive of what you agreed to experience in this lifetime, right? But nothing is set in stone. There's no specific, perfect, right interpretation of anything. There are people who will be like, well, you have this in this house, and so you're gonna definitely have this experience. And I'm like, that's BS. You don't necessarily have to have that experience. It can manifest in a different way. So to absolutely always reach into spirit first, look within first, go within first, and ask for the guidance. Ask spirit, show me the way. Ask the universe, what is it that you're trying to show me through this, and help me to interpret it in the way in which it's going to be helpful for me, not in a way that's going to scare me into doing something, not in a way that is, you know someone else's interpretation. Because I think the most important thing is, yes, you can have someone else do a reading for you, right? And you can ask for that, but you got to, first of all, you got to know who's reading for you, and what their thought processes and beliefs are, and what their energy is like. And you don't want to just trust that to anybody, right? But you also have to interpret their interpretation through your own spirit, because they can say something because that's been their experience, but it doesn't mean it's your experience. But it can suggest to you something in your experience, and you just have to be able to interpret it for yourself. Even if you don't know what the placements mean and you're having somebody else do that reading for you, having that connection to spirit so that you can interpret what they're telling you in a way that is in line with your spirit, and not going to sway you further away from understanding your unity and your oneness, right? Understanding your true identity. Because um this is really, these different, I talk about astrology a lot because that's like my main thing. I do astrology, I like numerology as well, I like human design. um I dabble with tarot a little bit, but um first with me, with astrology, like, yes, you have a birth chart, and it just, it's probably on point about like most of your personality, right? And if not all of it. If you have been completely running on the program, then everything that's in that chart is probably like really, really accurate, because you have been running on your subconscious. You have not been awake and aware. You're not in tune. You're not looking for growth and development, and you've just been letting the program run the program. You're not actually participating in the curriculum that you set out. You're just going through it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, you're letting it happen to you. You're not participating. So I feel like the biggest thing is, tapping in and really getting, what do I need to know this for? Like, okay, great. Cancers are oversensitive. Sometimes that sensitivity, sometimes we
As a
are,
look, as a Cancer, is
as a Cancer.
that your stance?
Sometimes we're too sensitive, but oftentimes we have the ability to pick up other people's energy and interpret, like, and until you know that you're picking up someone else's energy and that it's not necessarily yours. And then you learn that, oh, so and so walked in the room and I just got mad. I must be mad at them. No, maybe they're mad and I'm just picking up on that. Like that's an ability. Cancers are very, they have that. They're empaths. A lot of us are empaths, especially if you got more water in your chart, like me with the Pisces moon and all that. Like, and we're getting really into stuff, right? But I'm trying not to get into interpretations. I'm just giving examples, right? But that's just one example. Is that there's that stereotype. It's not about stereotypes. It's not. An evolved cancer who's not operating unknowingly is not oversensitive. They're just sensitive. You get oversensitive when you don't know what's coming at you and it's just coming at you. And so you have no way to shield yourself. You have no way to interpret what's mine and what's somebody else's. And so all of these things, every last one of them, when they give you, you know, oh, this is true for a Scorpio, or oh, you're a 2 or you're a 7, in numerology, like you're gonna have this experience or that experience. Fives, you guys are all about freedom, and maybe in your life it's about getting free. Maybe you haven't been free. Maybe you've been very reserved. Okay, like you cannot go off of surface level interpretations. These are lessons. This is a curriculum. This is what you came here to experience, and it's going to be different for each and every one. So tap in, go within, talk to spirit, talk to your own higher self, you know whatever you call the higher power, God, the universe. Talk to that presence, that higher presence within you, and really know for yourself what these things are and what they mean for you. So I'll stop there and I'll give you a chance to.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that. I'm telling you, it was really hitting home for me because I'm going to tell you, I've definitely had a few readings with people, and mostly just like kind of like the quick ones I've done with people. And I give them like a placement and a house and maybe like a few aspects, and they would try to like quickly discern like what, oh, did you go through this? Did you go through that? Did you go through this? And I'm like,
Hmm.
no, I actually went through this. And I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense too. And I'm like, yeah, like, it's not a one size fits all. There's so many different ways that these placements and these energies can show up. And it's really important to understand that. And then, just understanding when it comes to like one of the things I see a lot with the pop astrology and numerology, tarot, cardiology, is people looking for love in the in with the like that's like the main one. You get all the all the tarot and all of that readings. Oh, he's coming back, she really loves you, she just can't express it, and all of those things. And oh, if you're Venus in Cancer, you're really you're motherly and this and that. And
Yeah.
there's just so many different ways for these things to show up. And then there's free will. People
Yep.
could do whatever it is that they want to do. There may be something else that comes in, and now things change. And so that's why we're saying, like, you're way more than your birth chart. You're way more than any of these systems, but these systems can really help you. They can help
Hmm.
you understand what it is that you're going through. They can help you understand the curriculum that you did sign up for, and they can help you to be a better version of yourself. But of course, you have to be conscious. You can't be unconscious to it. Like Umi said, you have to be aware. You have to be fully engaged and understand what's going on in your life, and understand that this is happening for you and not to
Hmm.
you. And one of the things that I that as Umi and I, we've been studying some different sciences. And one of the things that one of the terms that have come up recently was your temporary self.
Right.
And astrology and all of these esoteric studies, they help you to identify and describe your temporary self. This again, the self that you the experience that you came here to have. You
Right.
know what I mean? But your higher self, over there, up there, around there, wherever we came from, the one who said, I need to go to earth school, I need to have these experiences, I need to feel these things, is the one that we want to really get in contact with, and we want to stay in touch with, and we want to really identify with, so that our temporary self doesn't continue to be like bogged down by
Hmm.
human life, for lack of
Right.
a better term. I was telling Umi just the other day, we were talking, and I was telling you how I felt exhausted with life. I felt so exhausted. I felt, you know, uh to some degree burnout, and just kind of like beat down by life in
Right.
general. And reading and understanding that, that's my temporary self. That's me up until 30 some odd years old, you know what I mean,
Right.
before I really started to really get to know myself, and really get healthy mentally, physically, emotionally, and so on and so forth. That's that version of me. But my higher self is the one that was like, okay, you've been through enough, right? Well,
Hmm.
you've had enough. Like, okay, it's time for you to leave that job, it's time for you to leave that relationship, it's time for you to leave. And for it to happen so like symbolically, like all of these things that happened in my life, like I know I was in earth school for real. Like I was in like grammar school, middle school, high school. Now I feel like I'm in college, maybe, but you know what I mean? Like I was really going through it. And the ways that, my temporary self had to get pulled out of certain situations,
Hmm.
I honestly felt like my higher self pulled me out of certain things. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because some of the things that, it's just hard to explain how I can't think of the word, but it's just hard to explain how spiritual it all was. You know what I mean? And even in certain situations where I wanted to kind of like flip some tables over and like tell some people about themselves, and my higher self was like, nope, don't you worry about it, we got it, you just go on, you be happy.
Right.
And you know what I mean, like it's okay, you know what I mean, you had to go in the trenches, you had to see those things for a reason, you know what I
Hmm.
mean. And so it's really been a very interesting experience learning about these systems, because I feel like that's a part of what really kind of like pulled me out as well.
Right.
Learning about my birth chart, my numerology, my cardology profile, and all of those things, and we'll talk about them in a little more detail in a second. But I do feel like they help me to just like it really helped me to understand myself, and some of it was like therapy. I
Yes.
felt like it's like,
Yep.
oh, okay, I'm not doomed, I'm not cursed, like
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what
There's a
I
lesson
mean.
here. Now I see
There's
it. Okay.
exactly, some of it was really that. And I'm really grateful to be in, the information age where, we have the technology, we have these things that you can literally Google a lot of it. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to say Google is always right. Yes, you need to go deeper and really make sure you're getting your
Yeah.
sources right, and look at different sites and see what resonates with you and all that good stuff. But I'm really grateful. Not to say that I wouldn't have found it anyway. I'm sure probably in a past life I might have been like a monk, or I might have been like a hermit somewhere. I might have been one of those ones with the scroll. I don't know. But I feel like I would have found this information anyway, just the way I mean, I've been through damn near all the sciences. Like it's like life for me, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, yeah, I just feel like they've definitely helped me to get in touch with my higher self, and I'm still working on that, of course, because life is still lifing. But it's really been beautiful. So let's talk a little bit about some of the systems. So we've kind of been referencing them a bit, and I would like to kind of, do a or not a deep dive, but like a brief dive into the different ones. Do you want to start with astrology? Umi has a lot of knowledge on astrology. I've studied astrology as well, but I would trust Umi with my astrology life for sure.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. I still feel like I'm a newbie. I still feel like I'm always, I don't know. I think there's some benefit to always feeling like there's more to learn. And so,
Yeah.
astrology, I think everybody knows is really like the planets. It's the placements of the planets and how they affect, you know, at the moment of your birth, they affect your personality, the experiences you're going to have at your life. I don't, I don't know that they necessarily affect it or if they record it. It's kind of like a which one is it? But it really you use your birth chart to really kind of understand your personality, understand your childhood experiences. At least this is how I use it, okay? And this is what it really is. But it's how those cosmic energies have come together to really be the person that you are, that you decided to be in this lifetime, right? And we're not talking about your, like we said, not your eternal self, not your oneness with the divine, but your human self that you have agreed to be in this lifetime. And so, it really helps you to know different patterns that are happening, particularly in your internal, psyche and your external experiences too. You have inner planets and outer planets, and it goes very deep. You can really get a lot of detail. I find that it really helps as a right now and a interpreting the past tool. I don't like using astrology for future, like figuring things out. I just don't. I don't. I like it for interpreting what has happened so that I can change my patterns going forward. And when things are going on, like right now, like with this Aries stellium that's happening, and I'm like, why do I not like anybody in my personal relationships? Well, it's in my seventh house. So, okay, great. Now I know. It really does. I feel like all of these things help you not go off the deep end because you're like, oh, well, it could just be that there's this surge of energy in this one particular area of life. And I need to just look at some things. And it allows you to take a moment, step back, look at it without it blowing up. Because I didn't want to blow up my family. I didn't.
I didn't want you to blow it up either, Omi. Praise the Lord.
I didn't want to blow
Thank
it up.
God
I
for
didn't.
astrology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if that really explained anything, but yeah, it's the planets and where they are when you're born
Yeah. I
or where
love
they are
that.
now.
Exactly.
Right.
I like to think of astrology as like a snapshot. Like when you're
Yes.
born, when you come out of your mother, be it however it is, you know what I mean? I gave birth to one child, thank God,
Me
and
too.
it was like she flew out. So, but I know everyone isn't like that. Some people they got to be pulled out. Some people they come out backwards. Like everybody is different, I know. But when I think of like my birthing experience and how my daughter just flew, I think of like a snapshot when she flew
Yep.
out. Like the astrology was like, ding, okay, you were born at you know, 5:38 a.m. on 3:22. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I definitely think of it as a snapshot. And another way I think of it also is because I'm a very like visual thinker. Like I think in pictures sometimes. And another way I think of it is as like kind of like a combination lock because there's so many numbers when it
Yes.
comes to
You did say that.
astrology. So you got 27 degrees rising in the eighth house, so you turn it this way, and then you go that way, and then you got your sun sign at 9 degrees. And I just think of it as like a combination lock, like this really complicated intricate combination lock. And then when it's your time to come out, it goes ding and opens, and you just come out. That's how I think of astrology. And
I
like,
love that
it's
analogy.
just me, right?
I love
Like,
it. No, I love
I
that. I love that.
don't know. Thank
What
you.
one more thing I want to say about astrology, and this is what I love about astrology. I've always been fascinated with planets and like the
Mhm,
universe and all of that. And
mhm.
astrology, and like you said, it's that snapshot at birth, and to think that that moment of your birth can describe so much of who you have become in this lifetime, how this lifetime, you have gone through these experiences that made you this person that you are in this human realm. It just proves to me that we are one with this universe, because the universe conspired in such a way that the planets were aligned to describe your personality, which to me is like mind blowing. Mind blowing. Yeah.
Isn't it? Even if you grow a lot and change a lot, it's still in your birth chart. Like, it
Yep.
can literally be seen. If you stay the same, it can literally be
Literally be
seen.
seen.
You know
Yep.
what I mean? Like, it's really amazing. And again, there are so many different forms of astrology. You have tropical, you have Vedic, you have, Placidus, whole signs.
Mm-hmm.
You have some that start at, every sign is at 0 degrees in the chart. And I mean, there's just so many different interpretations. And within those systems, there's other systems. So in Vedic, or sidereal, you have Lahiri, you have like all these different ones. I don't even know all the names of them in like the Indian kind of like system, or the Vedic
Mm-hmm.
system. There's so many different interpretations. And let me tell you something. I've studied so many of them, even just briefly, and they all pretty much say the same
Same
damn
thing.
thing. I'm
Across
telling
the
you,
board. All the
you could
different
be
astrologies, the numerology, you do your human design, even cardology, like they all say the same thing. Every last one
the
of them.
same thing. And the strange part is, like, when it comes to astrology, so for example, like, I'm a Leo sun in tropical, right? In Vedic, I'm a Cancer sun. But the way my Cancer or my Vedic chart is set up, you can still see that Leo energy there. And the way my tropical chart is set up, you can still see the Cancer energy. So it's all in alignment. You know what I mean? I feel like
Mm-hmm.
you just choose the one that resonates with you,
Yes.
and you just go with that. And that's why we say, like, you're more than your birth chart. And that's why, it's a guide. It helps you, but it's not something that you want to base like everything on. And in your, because it can get, you can really miss out on life and not live when you
Yeah.
are so focused on some of these systems. And I kind of fell into that trap a little bit, especially when I look at my daughter's chart sometimes, and I'm like, looking at different things, and I'm just like, oh, I hope she's okay. I hope she's safe. And you know what I mean? And it's like, again, there's so many different ways that things can show up. And sometimes something like an ending can actually mean growth. You know what I mean? A
Mm-hmm.
graduation or so of sorts. So there's just so many different ways to look at it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so we talked about astrology, numerology. So, numerology is a number based system. It looks at your birth date and time, it suggests themes in your personality and life path, and it can offer a way to reflect on patterns or timing in your life. And hopefully, it doesn't lock you into fixed meaning. When it comes to numerology, there's so many, like, again, there's so many systems. You got your personality number, your birth date number, your destiny number, the day you were born, your life path number. Like, there's so much within
Yep.
numerology. You can do the numerology on your first name, your middle name, your last name, separate, together, any combination
Yep.
of the three. And they will all tell you aspects of your personality, and it'll really help you. And like you said, Umi, like, I was born on a 5 day, but I'm not as adventurous as it may seem. I'm adventurous in the things that I'm into and the things I study, and like knowing all of these systems and reading a lot of different things. Like I'm adventurous mentally. My
Mentally,
mind
yeah.
is open. I'm able to travel in my
You're a free
mind.
thinker.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly. I'm not locked in, but it
Yep.
can be hard for me to move physically. You know what I mean? Like I have things that I want to do and projects, and I'm in my head. I'm everything's done in my mind.
Right.
I've been here, there, everywhere.
Right.
But in the physical realm, it's a little bit challenging for me. And I'm sure my numerology says that somewhere.
Hmm. Yep.
What do you
Yep.
think about numerology?
I love numerology. Actually, before I really deeply studied astrology, I was really into numerology. Well, I've always been a numbers person. No, I've
Mm.
always been a numbers person. I'm really great at math. Like, I'm just always been a numbers person. And the fact that everything in science can be reduced down to numbers just made numerology a no brainer. It's just like, yeah, okay, great. It makes sense to me that you could tell all this spiritual stuff and all of it, from your numerology. Um, and for me, I'm an 11 life path. So, that's like the channel essentially. And 11s are twos. And then also my birthday number is 22. And their numbers have always spoke to me. Like I've seen synchronicities all the time on license plates, on the clock, on just random things that make no sense for there to be synchronicities on. And I'm not just talking about repetitive numbers. I'm talking about numbers that have some kind of meaning that I've dreamt about, that I've seen, that are related to something else that's going on. Like when I say the numbers come up all the time, and I almost said something that I was like, no, you shouldn't tell everybody about that number. Uh, it's just the numbers that just come up in a way that like you're like, oh wow, where did that come from? And so numerology, to know that like your birth date can be derived down into a number that really explains what your purpose on earth is, what you're here to do, or like the personality number. I mean, and then when I lined up my numerology against my astrological chart, it was like, yeah, it's over. There's so much overlap that it just made sense. You know what I mean? It just made sense. And I just love numerology, one, because it's fast, it's easy, and you don't need like software to do it. You can literally like add your numbers up, and it's easy. You don't have to know the positions of planets and things like that. So that's what I do enjoy about numerology. It's so accessible if you just understand how to get the numbers and what the numbers mean. Um, so I feel like numerology is really the most accessible because it's numbers. It's just know what the numbers mean and how to get to them, how to add them up, and you can just tell so much. And yeah, I mean, and what people don't realize is that there's so much behind even the personality number and all of that. There's like pinnacles and periods of your life and challenge numbers for that particular period of your life and things like that that go really deep, depending on what system, because there's different systems. But yeah, that's it. And the same goes for numerology as astrology. Like you need to interpret it with the mind of spirit. It's never just what's on the surface. They're all energies. The physical manifestation of any particular energy is going to happen differently for each person. And so yeah.
Yeah. I agree. What I also love about numerology, real quick, as you were talking, I was thinking about how it's really just 0 through 9. You know what I mean? And when you have the 11 or the 22, the 33, or even the numbers in your birth chart, which go from 0 to what 30 degrees, you can still it's still just 0 through 9. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like those
Hmm.
numbers, like understanding how to put those numbers together and bring those interpretations together is like really, really powerful. It's something that I've
Hmm.
learned along the way, and I'm just like, oh wow, like all I have to do is just know 0 through 9, and I'm really good. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it tells you a lot. So yeah, numerology is amazing. Um, Next, we have on the list tarot. I'm not really that well versed in tarot. I will tell you that much. I do know that it's one of the divination systems. People use it to I told Umi I had a tarot birth chart reading one time. It was kind of the first one that I did. And told a lot. Like I was surprised. Like, when I looked at, because I had knew my astrology chart pretty well at the time, and when I had the tarot birth chart reading, the cards that they put with my birth, they, they all like, I was just like, oh yeah, this makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? And a lot of times people use tarot as of course divination to for like with um what is the word I'm thinking of, not inspiration, but you're in what is the word I'm thinking of?
Intuition?
Yes, thank you. Jeez, I couldn't get it out. A lot of times people work with tarot and their intuition to do like readings and things of that nature. And again, like we see a lot of it online now. They have these relationship readings. What is she thinking and what is he thinking of you now? But tarot actually goes deeper, way deeper than that. It's a very ancient system, and it derived from one of the ones that we're going to talk about a little later. But what do you think about tarot, Omi? I know you're a little bit more versed in it than I am, for sure.
Not really. I don't feel like I'm that much more versed in it. I use oracle cards way more than I do tarot.
Mm,
I'm really the cards for me. Until you had reminded me that there was like a birth card, and it really is numerologically, whatever the word is. We're so bad at words.
we're gonna
So
get
bad.
better.
It's really numerology like base, and
Yeah.
astrology based. So, it is related to that. So I did find that the card that comes up for me to be very on point. I mean, it's the high priestess with an 11. That makes sense to me.
Hmm.
Um I'm here I am just telling everybody what my placements are.
Same. I done
I've
said
just
a
been
few of
telling you.
mine
I
too.
mean, what are you gonna do? You don't know me.
Yeah.
Uh, I find it more for guidance and clarity and decision making and things like that. I find it really good for stuff like that. But not like every time something happens, I need to pull a card, or every day I need to pull. I mean, there are some people who operate that way. If that works for you, if that's how spirit speaks to you,
Hmm.
I think the important thing to understand with all of these things is to be fluid and flexible with it. There was
Yeah.
a time when I went hard on my tarot cards, and
Hmm.
then that time fell away. you know
Right?
it just did. And then there's sometimes when like my oracle cards call to me, a specific deck will come up. I have one called the rebel deck, which I love because it cusses at me. I don't know why. It just because I usually pull it out when I need to hear something that I don't want to hear.
Uh-huh.
But I'm like, I know it's something, it's some ish going on and I'm not listening. And then I pull a card and it'll tell me something like eat your effing vegetables, and I'll be like, got you. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
find them good for stuff like that. Like, just if you are going over, like, you're not sure or something like that, and you really are having a hard time accepting. For me, it's usually I've gotten the message 18 times already, right? And I'm just like not wanting to hear it.
Yeah.
And I say, okay, spirit, give it to me straight. And the whatever card I pull is usually the one that says, I done told you this already. I told you this already. Okay. So I find it good for confirmation. I find it good when you're just being stubborn and you just need that one more push over the edge to say, all right, fine, I'm going to listen.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things I heard about the tarot deck is it describes the hero's journey,
It does.
going
Yeah.
from the fool all the way to like the high priestess and all the
Yep.
the court cards, I guess you could call them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good way to tell you like where you are in that journey as well. You know,
Yep.
I've gotten the Fool card a few times myself. Get it together, girl.
And to understand that they don't necessarily mean what you think they mean. Like the death
Right,
card. People pull that card and they're like, oh, somebody's gonna die. No, it could be a part of you that's going to die. It could be a death
right.
of a job. It could be it's a transformation card because that's all death is
Yeah.
a transformation. Or like the Fool, it's the beginning, it's the new journey, it's the starting off. Yes, you're naive in the beginning.
In
You
the
know,
beginning.
in the beginning, you're
So,
like, sounds like a fun idea. Let's do this. Halfway through, you're like, maybe I should have thought a little more.
right. What was I thinking?
What was I
Oh,
thinking? I don't know. Yeah.
right. Whew. All right. And so next is human design. Human design actually combines astrology and also numerology. Gene keys as of I don't know if design came from gene keys or vice versa. I think human design came from gene keys if I recall correctly. And it helps you to decide like how to use your energy. So everyone
Mhm.
has there's like a different energy type. You have your generators who are supposed to like wait to respond. That's I'm a generator. I'm supposed to like really feel my way through things. I'm not supposed to rush through things. I'm supposed to feel it out. You have your projectors who are supposed to wait for the invitation.
Yep.
You have your reflectors who have a similar sort of wait for something, if I recall correctly. I feel like I'm missing one. Generators, projectors, reflectors,
Manifestors and
and
then
your
manifesting
manifestors
generators.
and
Yep.
manifesting. Thank you. Yeah,
Mhm.
and they're the ones who can like they don't have to really wait, you know what I mean, like they can just go for it if I recall correctly. Um but yeah, definitely look it up. And human design is the one that when I read my chart, I felt it felt like a therapy session. Like I tell people this all the time, like I was just like, wow, like, oh, okay, like I felt I
Mhm.
had it gave me more compassion for myself. I was like, oh, okay, because I feel like with some of the other esoteric systems, it tells you about your personality. It tells you about like some of the things you go through. But I feel like human design kind of told me like kind of like why I was going through certain things, or why I
Mhm.
have this design, or why I have this profile, and why I have this energy. Like some of the people who have written books and some of the websites that I've written on that I have read on human design have helped me out a lot. Like I'm telling you, like to this day I'm so grateful for human design. And it's not one that I am very well versed in. You know, I have some
Mhm.
really good contacts, some really good people who have really helped me to understand human design even deeper. But yeah, if there was one that I could probably recommend out of all of them, I think it would be human design. Like learn your human design chart, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
get a free one and do some research. Like I think out of all of them, for me personally, you know what I mean, even though I'm not like certified in that or anything like that, but yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, it just made me feel really good.
Mhm. Mhm.
What about you, Umi? Anything on human design?
I like human design. It's very it's a lot because it does take from all of the different divination practices. Even I Ching I think is in there, and so it's a lot if you want to understand it on a deeper level to understand all these bits and pieces and how they work together. Which for me, as somebody who has to understand how things fit together, I haven't really dived really deep into it because I don't have that background knowledge on all the things. I haven't learned I Ching or Gene Keys or any of that yet, and I feel like I'll probably learn all those things before I dive deep in human design. That's just me because I'm a brainiac. Virgo rising, Mercury conjunct midheaven. and the sun. Anyway, um, my thing with human design, because I'm a projector, right? And I'm a projector, but I'm a get it done kind of person. Like, and so here, wait for the invitation. The first time I like looked at my human design chart, like I threw that. I threw that across the damn room. Okay. I was like, me? Wait on who? What do you mean? I'm not, and I had to go deeper in it, and this is why I'm like, I really need to learn it, and I really need to understand what some of these things mean. It did help me to understand why my energy is so like I have to reserve it. I have to reserve my energy, and that my energy is very value like it's a resource that I don't have a lot of, so I have to really protect it. And when I look at the rest of my, astrology, numerology, all of that stuff, it makes sense to me why that is. But I didn't get it until I saw human design, because human design really does explain how you use energy and how to best use your energy. I feel like, okay, that wait for the invitation, it started to make sense after a while, because I'm a projector. I'm also a number 11. I have a lot of water. So I do get messages. I get a lot of messages for people. Like, I'm around people, and I've even had instances of like being on the bus before I had any of these like knowledges of any of these things, where I just get something and I would just feel like spirit said tell that person something, and I would do it just randomly, like okay. And I've done that my whole life, where like it comes and it comes out, you know. And what I've come to learn is that for me, it means wait until somebody asks you. Stop volunteering information they don't want to hear. Because I wasn't making friends that way. You know what I mean? Like, I was making a lot of enemies because people would be like, I don't want to know that. I don't want to hear that. And then it happens with my kids all the time. But I'm their mother. So I feel like they ask me intrinsically. Like, that's just who I am. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to tell you things you don't want to know. Uh,
If I
but
don't,
just
who will?
right. Who else is going to tell you? But that's the person that I am. And I think anybody who knows me well and knows me, and I've learned to like not be so in your face about it. I think that was the beauty of human design for me, was learning to be softer with the messages, and to kind of wait until someone is ready to receive that message. Um, and understanding that it didn't mean waiting to do everything, or waiting to do, you know, really, it really was more about delivering the messages as a
Yeah,
projector. Yeah.
yeah, I love that. Thank you. And we only got a few more minutes. We're just gonna touch on cardology just a little bit. Cardology is one of the esoteric systems that is based on the deck of playing cards. And each card has a meaning. It also works with numerology and astrology as well.
Mhm.
And it helps people to understand like patterns, and helps them understand themselves. It kind of gives you like an archetype, you know what I mean, kind of like an archetype similar to what you get with tarot. It gives you an archetype, but I like cardology because it's pretty simple, you know what I mean, like it's a very simple system. I mean, it goes by different names. You have destiny cards. I think there's a couple different other ones out there that 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 people work with. And I personally, cardology is the one that really got a hold of me. Like I said, even though human design was really good to me, and I definitely did a lot of reading up on human design, but mostly for myself, like not really for like other people, and like to understand like the system as a whole. um I feel like cardology was the one that I leaned into even more. You know what I mean? It's one of the ones that I felt like I said, it's simple, but it's complex at the same time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like you get to really understand, like you understand the basics, and then like similar to astrology, you can go deeper and understand like deeper meanings behind the cards and how they work together in this grand system called the grand solar spread. And there's a spiritual spread, and then there's a life spread. and understanding how they all work together. And similar to, I heard you mention with numerology, challenging cards, challenging
Mhm.
numbers, and things like that. There's challenging karma cards when it comes to cardology, and also supporting karma cards when it comes to cardology. So you can have
Mhm.
cards and energies that support you. And one of the things that's amazing that I've noticed is people with similar cards being in my life. You know what I mean? Like throughout my life. So it's like we're like this family traveling together. Like right now, Umi's card, I won't tell her your card. I won't tell your card, but Umi's card, like I have like maybe three or four other people in my life who have Umi's card. You know what I mean? And it's a very powerful card. And I feel like these people have come into my life to help me be more powerful and see the power within myself when because we have a similar energy, but it's just in a different suit. And it's like it I don't know, like it's I feel like you guys are like strengthening me at this time in my life when I really need it. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
cardiology has been really, 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 really good to me. And I urge people to, learn your card. There's so many different, again, you could Google and, type your birthday in and, just even if you just read up a little bit on it, I'm telling you, it's gonna say something where you're like, wow, it's gonna make sense to you. And then as you dive deeper and deeper, um, it's a really good system. It's one of the ones that, like I said, it really hit home for me. Don't look at Riverdine like that. She's just
Sparky.
living her best life out there. Look, somebody came in her yard.
They're not
One of
even
those.
in her yard. They're on the other side of the fence. She just wants to bark.
What you got for cardiology? I know we're running low on time, but
Yeah, this is one I don't know a whole lot about. I have found everything that you've told me about my card to be pretty accurate. And those of my family, when you've told me about them, they've always been pretty accurate. I think the cardology kind of became real for me when I found out that my wife's birthday card is my transformation card, and how that related to my Juno placement. I think it's Juno in astrology, and the fact
Mhm.
that, like, yes, my transformation comes through this relationship. There's some deep transformation that happened through relationship for me, and so um I always knew that, but then seeing it in cardology just made it really real. You know what I mean? All of these things, they're just different ways of telling you the same information, and sometimes you just need to hear it in a different way.
Yeah,
That's it. You just need to hear it in a
yeah.
different way. And for me, that's each one of these. Human design taught me one thing, and it all, when I went to my birth chart and astrology, all of it was there. I just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't seeing it in that way.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's everything that I've read across the different systems is really lined up for me. And the most important thing, to wrap it up, what we mentioned earlier is for me was not overtly identifying with them, just using them or working with them rather as a guide to help me understand, some of the things that I was going through, and not being so hard on myself about some of these lessons that I've been learning in Earth School Journey. There is a reason why I came here to learn these lessons, and I didn't want to feel like wounded by life. Like I felt wounded by life, for a while. For a while I didn't
Mhm.
realize because I was so numb, but once I started to feel, and I'm just like, wow, what, this is heavy. This is a lot, and, really understanding that a lot of this it's all by design, but there is a greater me, and I know we try not to be too religious, and even though we grew up in the church, we don't like to bring up the Bible a lot, but I couldn't help but thinking of the Bible verse that said, greater is he who is in me than he who is in the world, and thinking of that in terms of, the my higher self, okay, as I'm here living this life is greater than any pain or anything that I've gone through. And I can overcome these things. And of course, with help and therapy and making sure that I'm being healthy and doing the right thing and not like escaping or um, spiritual bypassing or anything like that, but really feeling and working through these things and knowing that there is a greater purpose. And also, using what I've learned to help others. One
Yeah.
of the things that came to me as I was sitting in quarantine was, there is no reason why, unless they willfully, unless they have no other choice or they decide to, there's no reason for my grandchildren to go through some of all the things that I've been through. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
These lessons that I have learned, I have got to pass them down. I have got to make sure that the generations coming behind me can do better. They can have a better start, you know what I mean, than
Yeah.
I did. And so that's what a lot of this has been for me. And I'm just really grateful. Again, I'm really grateful to be alive at this time to have this knowledge. My and
Hmm.
I don't think my grandmother had it. My mom was getting into it a little bit, but I don't think my grandmother was, or my great grandmother, to my knowledge, because most
Yeah.
of the people in my family look at me like I've lost my mind sometimes when I talk about some of these things. So I don't think it was like,
Yeah.
what I mean? It's not common, in my bloodline anyway, consciously.
Right.
But I'm grateful to be bringing it to the forefront. Any
Yeah.
closing words?
Oh, yeah. I mean, just, like we said, don't over identify. And we were talking about higher self, when you're looking at your birth chart, step into the role of the higher self, looking at your temporary or your mortal self or your human self, however you want to call that. Um, Step into being that spiritual being who is having this human experience, and really look at it that way, so that you are identifying with your higher being, your God self, when you're looking at these things, and allow it to give you direction, give you a greater understanding, compassion for yourself. Um, where like me, I look at everybody else's charts and my family and then I go, oh, that's why you're that way. Okay. I You can't help it yet. You'll get it eventually. Got it. No, I mean I'm
Yeah.
joking, but at the same time I'm serious. Like, it does allow you to have compassion, okay? Because I can step into that observer role, that witness role, and say, well, okay, there was an agreement here for us to have this experience, for us to go through this, that you're going to learn something from it, that I'm going to learn something from it. And it really does help you to be more forgiving and loving and kind to each other. So that's
It
all I
does.
got. Except thank y'all. Thank you, classmates. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you all so much. This has been Earth School Journey, where life is the classroom and love is the lesson. We will see you next week for study hall. Okay. We've got some practical tips and things to share in how you can work with your spiritual identity and how you can really lean into it and identify with it even more. So thank you all so much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Peace.
Peace.